I saw a comment on my last video that asked what my favorite anime and manga were and how they might have impacted my art, and I think that's a great idea to talk about, so I'm going to. I'm going to try and give them their own little videos instead of trying to do them all in one, because I think that would be too long. And we're going to go ahead and start with the very first manga I ever owned, Angelic Layer. We're like around 2005, my little butt going into our brand new bookstore in our town. We didn't really have any bookstores, and it was Borders. I don't know if anybody remembers Borders, the bookstore, but I do. I loved it. I have dreams of that place still. It was good memories for me. Anyway, I pick up this book. It's by Clamp, Angelic Layer. Let's go. How I think it I'm gonna get this out of the way. How I think it impacted my art, probably the proportions. Yeah, I want to say proportions and some of the design choices that are seen in some of the characters, I'd say made their way into mine. Nowadays, you probably can't see it because I've evolved far from that, but I remember when I was really getting into the what is called anime style, you know, the very Japanese inspired stuff. It looked a lot like that, which I guess kind of looks somewhere between Cardcaptor Sakura and something else. I don't know. Which actually I think are done by the same people. Yes, they're done by the same people. Clamp is an all women's art group, comic or manga group, making comics for everybody, primarily women and girls. Anyway, the story is about a girl who moves from the countryside to live in the city with her aunt so that she can go to a better school. She knows her mom works in the city somewhere, and she's been working there for a long time. She doesn't quite know what it's for. Now, here in the show and the manga, there's a big difference. Sorry, I think I hit my desk. In the manga, her mother is just incredibly shy. Like, the more time she spent away doing this job, working for this guy, the harder she kind of found it to be around her daughter. And you learn that her mother is so, I guess what we would call socially anxious. Her anxiety was just so bad that she couldn't really even bring herself to face her daughter. I believe in the show they made it's not so much that she was shy, but that she was working on this project and had nothing to show for it, and wanted to make sure that when she finally showed her face to her daughter again, she had something to show for it. So in that aspect, I think maybe the show might be a little more compelling. But back to the manga. So while she's there, she first arrives, she is introduced to this thing that everyone is cheering for, Angelic Layer. She sees this beautiful, angelic angel just brawling, going to town with this more bulky angel with, I think, spikes and stuff on it. It was really fun designs. She's hooked on it. She doesn't understand it, but she's hooked on it. And there's a gentleman in a lab coat who you find out later is the guy who created it in the first place. I don't know how he knew she was going to be there, but he does work with her mom, so I'm just going to assume that he heard it from that angle, that part. So anyways, he's there. He helps her get into Angelic Layer. He helps her find all the stuff to put her first doll together. Now, what made them really kind of cool is, I'm really surprised this wasn't made into a video game, because I really think it would have been a really cool video game. Sorry, I was looking at a comment of Buddy sent. And they have stats. You actually you have this little thing that you put the doll in, and then you open up the menu, you create the name, and then you're given a list of stats that you can put your points into. You're given a limited amount of points, and you can put them in. And I think as the doll progresses, I think you can probably earn points, or you just start to learn how to basically maximize the stats you've put into the doll. I'm not sure. They kind of leave it alone after a certain point. But you have to design them. You design the hair, you make the clothes, and it's really cool, right? You can even buy skin for them. You find out that they have to have protective skin, which of course if it gets damaged, you have to, that's a thing, is these dolls can actually get damaged in these fights that these people go in. They go hard, some of them. Some of them are known for being just utterly brutal to the point where people kind of don't like them, but they don't care. And some of them like them because they're so brutal. It's like wrestling, honestly. It's great. It's wrestling for little girls. I say little girls, but there's actually a lot of adults and grown women within the manga itself that play this game. Like, it's a huge thing, and that's one of the greatest appeals of it, is that it's for everyone. She makes friends, obviously. One of the things I like about her best friends is this guy and this gal, and he kind of has a crush on her, but the friend, the gal pal, also has a crush on him. But instead of, like, taking that out on Misaki, I think her name is Misaki, instead of taking that out on Misaki, our main girl, she takes it kind of out on him in little comedic pokes and jabs, because he has, like, never picked up on the fact that she likes him. Which I like. It doesn't, like, pin the two against each other. They work it out. They end up together. The main girl that never really ends up with anyone, because that's not the point of the manga. The manga is just about her kind of becoming more confident in herself through her doll in these fights, and they're supporting her along the way. And there are a few fights that I absolutely remember, just really, they're great, they're fantastic, and so the dolls themselves are really great. Like, as she climbs up in the tournament, you get these more unique dolls with more unique ways of, like, fighting. There's a doll, the first one that I remember is Lanka, I think her name is, and her whole deal is that she's like a dancer, she's really pretty. But the thing is that she moves her, like, I guess she, like, she starts dancing, I'm using quotation marks, dancing, and she's creating air pressure that she sends out across the arena, and it knocks the other dolls out. And so she's used to, like, knocking other dolls out by doing this, and none of them usually figure it out, except for the ones that are higher up, because they figured it out. She gets lucky and figures it out because of a misstep, and realizes what's happening, and it kind of rewards her for, you know, being able to figure it out. And it's really cool. There's another doll that they point out that some of the earlier models have kind of like a glitch in their system. So another doll she's fighting lets her kind of, like, hit her, but not, like, with full force. She is only taking little bits of damage on purpose, because once the doll reaches below a certain health point, the doll actually can activate a mode that newer models can't, because it was a glitch. But so she uses that. My personal favorite has to be her fighting Yurihime, because it also shows an example of how the dolls themselves are really different. So you have Hikaru, which is the main girl's doll, Misaki's doll, and she's what's considered a lightweight. This means that she's built for agility and speed. I say speed and agility like they're two different things, but she's basically meant to be more speedy. She uses her momentum, which is another thing that's kind of cool, that this is one of the few manga that at the time that I read that really kind of was like, hey, speed also equals strength. So there's a couple fights where she won because she generated so much momentum that she was able to, like, knock other angels out of the arena entirely, which was it's a pretty effective way. But she can't do that against Yurihime, because Yurihime is considered a heavyweight model, and a heavyweight model meaning she's defensive. She's not slow necessarily, but she is very defensive. She's bulky, but she's very pretty. She's like a snow angel kind of like thing. She's like a Japanese snow woman. I can't remember what that's called. The Yoko Onna? I don't know, someone correct me in the comments below. But that's kind of what she's based on, and she's, like, really cool, you know. Her duelist, Yu-Gi-Oh joke here, is kind of like an upper high school girl that all the girls, has a huge fan base of girls who, like, love her, you know. Icon. Anyway. So stupid. But she's like ice, you know, that's the whole thing. But she can't build up momentum to knock her out or do any more, like, really meaningful damage, because at this time they had introduced arena effects into the thing. So they're fighting on this, like, sandy beach, and she's not able to get full traction. She's sliding on the sand. I don't know if you've ever tried to run in sand, but that's hard. I'd imagine even for a little mechanical doll it'd probably be difficult. And how she defeats her in the manga is pretty brutal, pretty awesome, pretty, you know, fucking sick metal. And she manages to get her to drag her into the ocean, and she just slams the heavyweight doll, Yurihime's head, on the ocean floor, and I was like, oh, that's... she'd break the doll's neck. Oh my god. So you have these, like, frilly, beautiful, like, dolls and just absolutely going to town. That you don't want anything to win. Another match that stood out to me, because it made the whole, like... Well, there's plenty. There's Wizard. Wizard is kind of a big deal because he's one of the only, like, male dolls that you see in Angelic Layer with an actual, like... I feel like there should have been more, like, realistically speaking, even with, like, female duelists, deuces, as I think they called them in the manga. But the owners are primarily women. I feel like you probably should have had a few more that were men, just because, like, I know people. But Wizard is one of the only male dolls that you see, and it's funny because they don't imply that Angelic Layer is only popular with girls, but I guess they kind of imply that women are usually better at it. Something to do with an emotional connection, and just, I don't know. That's the excuse that they give in the manga. But they do have Wizard, and Wizard's, like, high ranking up there, and everyone loves him. They love his duelist, you know, and he's pretty fun. He's pretty cool. His shtick is that, I think if I remember right, it's been a while, he was considered untouchable, except for the, you know, those higher, like, those that are ranked above him even, because they figured it out. They couldn't touch him because I believe he was able to generate static. So basically he was making, like, a electromagnetic field around him that would push the dolls away. How she figures this out in the anime versus the manga is different, just like the fight with Yurihime is different in the anime. In the anime, she does, like, this weird thing where she, like, grounds her doll, and she, like, breaks off one of the... I think it's one of the receivers. I'm not sure what they're for. I thought they were a receiver. But she breaks that kind of, like, open so that it will ground her as she approaches. In the manga, she just runs at it enough times that she figures it out, and she slides under it, because she finds that... I guess she finds that it, like, where his feet are is where the, like, is, like, the limit of it, I think. So she just slides into place, like, fucking sledding in home base. So stupid. I'm now calling myself stupid. I'm not calling the manga stupid. The other one had to do with, because there was agility, and then I think there was actually speed. I think there was speed, agility, and, like, grace. And I'm kind of like, what's the difference between agility and grace? Agility, I believe, had to do with how quick the dolls can, like, change direction. And I believe grace is basically balance, because it's not in the show, but in the manga, one of the last fights she does is against Alice, who is connected to a duelist that she fought earlier, who got caught for, like, kind of, like, cheating. But anyway, she comes in, she has her own doll, and her name is Alice. She's, like, Alice in Wonderland themed. She's got little bunny ears. She's cute. And her thing is she has grace, and they're fighting on an icy terrain, and because she has grace, she doesn't slip and slide everywhere, because she has balance and poise, basically. And I was like, oh, so that's the point of the grace stat. And I think what made that fight stand out for me, which I think is a great place to end off on, because I don't want to ruin any spoilers, just in case someone wants to go out and read it or watch it. She takes a running jump at her and just double kicks her out of the arena and almost slides out herself. And when the girl asks her, how did you know that would work? She just flat out tells the girl, I didn't know if that would work. But I figured that it was worth taking a risk, and it was better than doing nothing, because what I was doing wasn't working, so it was risk worth taking. And if I had lost, well, I gave it my all, and I would have been still happy about it. And it definitely helps change the girl's opinion of Misaki. And I think it's a great kind of thing to kind of take with you, is that sometimes you aren't going to be guaranteed something, so you might as well just go for it. And I think that might have been, like, looking too much into this story about little girls having dolls just absolutely brawling with each other. So, yep, that's how we're starting. We're starting with Angelic Layer. I don't know which one I'll do next, because I have quite a list. Maybe I'll throw some out there on my Twitter, see which one people might be interested in hearing about first, but since I'm going through all of them, it might not matter. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you have any other things you would like me to take a look at, I will. If you want me to read something, I will also do that. I don't know if I'll do it well, but I'll do it. Unless it makes me really uncomfortable. I've seen some of the stuff people write online, so I don't know. I'm sure to get one of those eventually. But anyways, I had a blast making this. I went ahead and drew Hikaru, as you can see in the background. If you have any questions about things in the video itself, like in the background, the piece of artwork, that sort of thing, go ahead and let me know, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, and remember to love yourself. I know that sounds really lame, but it's really important. Love yourself. Alright. I'll see you next time.